I guess we can get started. Welcome to all of you from wherever you are watching us. My name is Susanna Zamataro. I'm the Director General of the International Road Federation, talking to you from Geneva today in Switzerland. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this online side event being hosted, in fact, in the margins of the high-level meeting on road safety, which is being hosted just in a few hours, I think in an hour or so, kicking off at the UN headquarters in New York. Thank you for joining us literally from all over the world. I've been checking over the past days the registrations, and I'm seeing also the greetings that are coming through the chat from all over the world. Thank you so much. I am unfortunately one of those victims from this new terrible wave of COVID, which is hitting hard, at least here in Europe. So I want to apologize in advance to all of you if you will hear throughout the meeting my voice faltering by moments or my coughing with microphone open. I'm really trying my best, and I wanted to be absolutely present today as my token of appreciation to all of you who have made an effort to join us, but also as a token of appreciation to our wonderful high-level speakers who, I have to tell you, have done a great deal of effort in trying to squeeze this event into their busy agendas. I also wanted to be present today also because what is at stake is so important. And what is at stake, it's literally the life of hundreds of people who are dying on our roads literally on a daily basis. Lives that are being lost for no good reasons, and lives that we do have the means to save. And we are here today, in fact, to talk about the contribution that road safety, that the private sector can in fact give to the cause of road safety and its fight against really cutting down fatalities and injuries on our roads. We hope that this conversation will help you not just gain some new knowledge and information on what is being done, but I truly hope that this conversation, for how short it can be, will help you and provide you some inspiration to all of you out there, inspiration that will help you and push you to move from words into action. We have a very dense agenda, so Agustina, if you can help me move on with the slides, I'd like to quickly run through the agenda. You will hear in a few moments welcoming opening remarks, and welcome also from our president, Mr. Anwar Benazouz. We'll pass then the floor to Jacques-Emmanuel Saulnier from the Total Energies Foundation, specifically talking about the private sector road safety coalitions that the foundation is helping to pull together around the world. We were supposed to have with us the Honorable Minister of Works and Transport of Tanzania, Professor Makame Mbarawa. Unfortunately, he has just informed that the meeting, which is currently going on in the Parliament for the approval of the budget, together with the Prime Minister, is going longer than expected. And so we're not sure he will be able to join us. And last but not least, we will take roughly 40 minutes for a panel discussion with a couple of key industry leaders. If we move to the next slide, and before I present to you the wonderful speakers we have today for the event, I just quickly wanted to remind you some housekeeping rules. First of all, while you're already using it, I see it, the chat is open for all of you to introduce yourself, to share information and knowledge, and to put links to other resources. These events are also a way to create a community that, where we can exchange knowledge and information for sure. If you want to ask a question specifically to the speakers, to any of us, please use the question and answer function that you should be seeing in your Zoom navigation bar. I want to tell you, though, that the event is very dense and short. I'm not 100% sure that we will have time for questions, but please use that for squeezing, questions for us, because we might be able to get back to you offline, or we will use those questions to inform future meetings. So please don't hesitate. We do have audience from China as well. So in your navigation bar, you will also see an icon about interpretation. So we have interpretation towards Chinese as well. And last but not least, if you're tweeting, and we should all also support the momentum which is being created around the high-level meeting through social media. Our social media handles are displayed on the screen. The road safety community is using the hashtag Streets for Life and the hashtag road safety to create the buzz. Agostina, who's our communication officer here at the IRF, will be reminding this through the chat going forward. Without further ado, and if Agostina, if you help me move to the next slide, I would like to introduce you quickly our speakers. We will hear in a few moments from Mr. Anwar Benazouz. He's the president, newly elected president of the International Road Federation. He happens to be as well the DG, the Director General of the Moroccan Highways, one of the key companies involved in the private sector coalition we have launched in Morocco. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see the picture of Jacques-Emmanuel Saulnier, is the General Manager of Total Energies Foundation, thanks to whom this event and the work around the road safety coalitions is being made possible. So I thank to them as well. Agostina, if we go to the next slide, then I want to introduce then our panel speakers. Magali Anderson, she's the Chief Sustainability and Innovation Officer from Holcim. Nicolas Beaumont, Senior Vice President, Sustainable Development and Mobility from Michelin. Dan Chen, President, 3M Transportation Safety Division. And last but not least, Salik Muhammad, Road Safety Manager from Unilever. All of them somehow involved into our coalition's work, and in any case, with our engagement towards private sector and with private sector for road safety. I think I will stop here. I've spoken enough. I have to spare some voice for the rest of the panel discussion. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor now to our president, Mr. Anwar Benazouz, the president of the IRF, for some welcoming remarks. Thank you so much. Anwar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Susanna. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome also on my behalf to this event being organized in the margins of the UN high-level meeting that is about to start today in New York, and that we hope will galvanize action of not just country delegation, but all of us. Because when it comes to road safety, we are all concerned and we are all responsible. The previous decade of action has taught us that saving 5 million lives and avoiding 50 million serious injuries will require more significant commitments and greater action from everyone. And that improving road safety is a sustainable development imperative that contributes to equitable improvements in social, environmental, and economic indicators. Vision Zero, or the safe system approach, which has been widely accepted as the modern road safety strategy, shows that the ultimate responsibility for road safety lies not just with the individual road user, but also with those who design, build, operate, manage the transport system and all its various components. This includes legislators, policymakers, road builders, vehicle manufacturers, fleet operators, the police, and all of those who are in a position to collectively contribute to a safe transport system. With its view on shared responsibility, Vision Zero, therefore, has the potential to act as an important enabler of new partnerships for road safety. Safety has been always central in the work of our federation since its very creation in 1948, and helping to deliver safe roads and safe journeys to everyone, irrespective of where they live and what their social status is, has been of the has been part of the IRF's own journey and mission for the past 75 years. We have also always strongly believed in the power of collaborations, and that's also the reason why we are facilitating a series of events and panels to bring forward the role and that the private sector plays and could play in road safety. We believe that the private sector has a key role to play other than traditional CSR activities, but its role has still not been fully acknowledged. For the private sector, road safety is no longer just a risk that can severely impact business, but a value and a key pillar of a vision that sees companies fully engaged in this activity with their employees and with the communities that actively contribute to the common good. And we will hear in the panel today some concrete examples of that engagement. The proactive attitude and the expertise of the private sector in delivering sustainable solutions are precious munition in the war we are facing against road crashes, because we can only call war something that generates 1.3 million deaths per year. Often solicited only for financial contributions, the private sector has a lot more to offer. There are several areas of opportunity where companies can make meaningful contribution to road safety outcomes for their employees, contractors, and communities at large. Through innovation, thought leadership, early adoption and development of technology, marketing, and training, companies are uniquely placed to raise road safety standards and behaviors. We need to learn to better harness the power of corporate resources and their presence in our communities. It is important to understand how private companies integrate road safety into their overall sustainability efforts and which are the most effective strategies that apply to do so. That's why we are here today, and I want to thank all our invited speakers for being with us and for leading by example. Ladies and gentlemen, the new global plan brings forward the idea of the shared responsibility, and I can assure you the industry is committed and ready to do its part. As the president of IRF, but also as the DG of Moroccan Highways and member of the Morocco Private Sector Coalition, I want to leave you with this message. We have a golden opportunity to inspire a strong and renewed worldwide commitment to safer road for all. Let's seize this opportunity now, together. This is the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anwar, for your inspiring words and for setting the stage for this conversation. Lots of elements, and we hope really to have the time to really use the expertise of our speakers to try and deep dive in many of them, if not all of them. Without further ado, then, I would like to call to the stage now Jacques-Emmanuel Saulnier, is the General Manager of Total Energies Foundation, and ask him, in fact, with him already trying to start digging into one of the different ways in which private sector can contribute. Jacques-Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Susanna, and may I start by wishing you a good and very quick recovering. I hope you will feel better quite soon. Hello, everybody. I am very pleased to be with you all today for this timely conversation around the role the private sector can play. And I would like to start by thanking the International Road Federation for taking the lead and for bringing us together today. My thanks, of course, go to the IRF president, Mr. Anwar Benazouz, for his leadership, both at the helm of the IRF, but also, as mentioned, at the head of Autoroute du Maroc. I want to greet you all and send regards to all the speakers and colleagues in this meeting. And I think that I am going to start by proposing you a very quick presentation. At Total Energies, safety is a core value that is embedded in all of our processes because it ensures all long-term sustainability as a business. A company, we consider that a company which is not safe is not a sustainable company. And Total Energies is a company with close ties to cars and drivers. Our trucks cover more than 700 million kilometers every year, and we supply fuel to some 4 million road users every day. 4 million. For these reasons, Total Energies has drawn up stringent rules and procedures for all its drivers. Youth education, of course. We launched together with Michelin a program so-called VIA. This is a global awareness program implemented and co-developed, as I mentioned, with the Michelin Corporate Foundation, and it's in place in many of the group's host countries. The program is based on an innovative and participatory approach to learning aimed at raising youth people's awareness on road hazards. Raising awareness among target groups, we do this in partnerships with NGOs like Amend, and Total Energies is trialing a training program for professional motorcycle taxi drivers in Tanzania, Togo, Senegal, and Guinea-Conakry. We also support prevention initiative targeting the general public, and it has been set up with non-profit association, Prévention routière, for example, at days devoted to safety, occupational health, and road safety. We also, through its African chapter, support Global Alliance, which works in collaboration with the International Road Federation to develop the skills and working tools of local NGOs, providing mainly mentoring and assistance in fundraising for NGOs tackling road safety issues, and the implementation of free digital sharing and collaborative platform for NGOs. We also have, of course, partnerships between local stakeholders, and they are formed through the IRF to help improve road safety. Being present in about 130 countries, including in areas with a high rate of road crashes and fatalities, our goal is to share our expertise with professionals and other individuals in local communities to maximize the reach and impact and save, of course, precious human lives. The initiative is rooted in the belief that road crashes are largely preventable and road safety is a shared responsibility. The initiative, coordinated by the IRF and supported by the Total Energies Foundation, builds on the experience gained with the initiative Safe Way, Right Way, implemented in Kenya, Uganda, and Cameroon. It aims to mobilize and federate local private sector stakeholders in order to improve safety by bringing resources and expertise together to implement impactful activities in the respective countries. Some of the coalition members launched recently in Morocco, Tanzania, Pakistan are present today in the panel. I want to acknowledge and thank them. Others are watching us from Senegal, Togo, and India, where new coalitions are being formed. All are strongly committed to the cause and eager to help deliver change in their countries. A coalition and the collaboration that it entails allows to maximize the impact of road safety efforts. Through sharing best practices and know-how in the different area of expertise, costs can be shared and effort duplication can be maximized in order to carry out impactful and visible projects. The coalitions are open to those willing to join them, and so feel free to reach out to the IRF if you want to get involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jacques-Emmanuel, for presenting the private sector road safety coalitions, which is actually a good base for the discussion we're going to have now in the panel. I'd like to start inviting to the floor all my panelist speakers and inviting them to open up their cameras. Sadiq Muhammad, the road safety manager from Unilever. Mr. Dan Chen is the president of 3M Transportation Safety Division. Magadi Anderson, who is the chief sustainability and innovation officer, and Nicolas Beaumont. Nicolas is there, yes, vice president sustainability in Michelin. I just realized that even being affected with COVID, I managed to speak too much. So I have taken you a few minutes of time. I'll spare my voice, which is already faltering. And I'd like to start actually with you, Sadiq, if I may. We do have very senior management around the table here, but it's a special senior management because all the people that you see here on the screen have been there in the front line as much as you are. So it's fantastic that we can create this bridge in between those who are at the top taking decisions for the entire company and those like you who are really on the front line. Sadiq, also Unilever, it's interesting in this panel because if you look, the other companies like Holcim, 3M and Michelin are more or less somehow involved into mobility, but what's the link exactly between the company you represent, Unilever, and road safety, and why road safety is so important for a company like Unilever? Sadiq.
Thank you, Susanna, for this opportunity. So our purpose in Unilever is to make a sustainable living commonplace. For vision like this, a safety is something not good, cannot be a good to have. But it has to be something that we own, and it has to be a part of our DNA. And for this purpose, Unilever believes in one code, which is all in for safety, meaning that everything that we have will start from Unilever, and whatever we can do is to make this place and this country a better place. If I just look back in 2021, so in Pakistan, we clocked around 51 million kilometers to deliver services to Unilever consumers. In such scenarios, in such hostile era, this is, and if I just look at the company as a whole, so Unilever delivers into 190 countries, so you can imagine the scale of what we're talking about. And as per the OICA, around 335 million vehicles are on the road transporting different goods. And by 2050, this number can go up to 2.5 billion. So that's the amount of vehicles we are predicting in the future. So we need to have a sustainable road network, a more efficient and more a network which is conducive for our businesses like us. Because as mentioned earlier in the opening statements, that if you do not have a network which is incident-free or accident-free, that is eventually results into our business loss as well. So safety for us is something that we all believe in and has to be the core value of how we do the business. If you talk about my personal self, so my personal mission is to make people understand the value of safety. Often I find that the safety is translated into hard jargons or something, it's difficult to comprehend. But my personal value and personal vision is to that I have to change the mindset that I have to do safety to I want to make this world a better place, and especially Pakistan. And because we are from the third world countries, we do have a lot of challenges economically and on the roads. So everybody needs to play their part in order for a better ecosystem, because we do have a value chain, and while we're on the road, every small step that we can take can eventually thus result into a better life for people. So that's one of the key pillars, that this is very, very important for us.
Thank you, Salik. So I hear you, the issue of shared responsibility. We've heard it in the speech of previous speeches as well. Reducing risks for the business, but a core value and a more obligation towards the community and towards the people out there. Let me turn to Dan. Dan Chen from 3M. It's not the first time that you and I are sitting here talking about the contribution of private sector to road safety. And it's interesting, as somebody who leads a huge company like 3M with lots of staff, lots of fleets, vehicles out there, but also somebody who understands the intricacies of global processes. How would you spell out, in your words, the contribution that private sector can make to road safety, Dan?
Thanks, Susanna, and thanks for the opportunity to address this audience. It's a really important question about what can private sector do to help in this worldwide issue. I think it's important to kind of context setting for what private sector thinks about in terms of stakeholders, because everything has to be in the context of making sure our stakeholders achieve their goals as well. And so for all of us who are private sector companies, we care about shareholders, okay, who have invested in the company, we care about our customers, and we care about our employees. So all the things that we do should be guided towards creating value for those sets of stakeholders. So within that context, certainly there's times when we are going to have a business that's oriented towards safety, and things like my business, which is really a safety-oriented business. We try to create value by creating the business of safety. It's great to see Michelin, Total. We're oftentimes encounter each other, I think, at these types of events, because these are companies in Holcim, these are companies that get it in terms of safety. They understand the value of safety as an enterprise and what can be done within the four walls of the company to affect employees and supply chains and so forth that push safety down into the rest of the organization and beyond. So I think there's definitely some things that we can do from a private sector point of view. I would, and I can talk basically about that first one, which is, I think Mr. Salini talked very nicely about the things that can be done from procurement point of view or employee training point of view. The second thing is in terms of, how we invest our dollars, in terms of make sure the dollar investments are going towards the right ESG oriented type causes. And the third one is really about business models and making sure the business models that are created, which can affect big change, are done in a way that is sustainable and oriented towards road safety.
Thank you, Dan. Sorry, I had to close my microphone. I'll stop you here and I'll come back to you, because I then want to talk about this business model. It's really important, because I think very often I get the question, it's really nice all what we hear, but how do we do it? So I'll come back to the business model in a moment, but I want to turn to Nicolas Beaumont, because I see here a thread in between, Dan, what you just said, and Michelin vision around sustainability and how safety fits into that overall vision of all sustainable. Nicolas, I'll pass the floor to you also to tell us a bit about Michelin's strategy when it comes to safety and overall this vision on sustainability.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Dan. So Michelin very clearly has got an all sustainable strategy. And what does it mean? It means a constant equilibrium between planet, profit, and people. And when I say people, it's all the stakeholders, be it internal or external. And Michelin is also a mobility company. So sustainable and mobility, what does that mean? It means sustainable mobility. And what is sustainable mobility? You know that Sustainable Mobility for All, the initiative from the World Bank, has defined what it is, and it's a mobility that is safe, good for the environment, accessible to all, and efficient. And it's extremely important, and for us it is the key, that these four verticals are taken exactly at the same level of urgency and importance. And when you are saying, there's this UN conference starting, for me, what's very important is that during the UN conference, they consider road safety as important as environment is at the time being. So first, we have sustainable mobility, and we've got the safe part of it. To ensure the safe part of safe mobility, we need to ensure safe mobility for our employees. And this is already ecosystemic because you need to partner to do that. For instance, we partner with Essilor to do vision checking within the employees. We train them with NGOs and training institutions in order that they can drive properly. You have the employees, but you also have our product and services. And as you know, we design and manufacture and sell tires for cars, trucks, aircraft, dumpers, bicycle, bikes, and the ecosystemic approach interacting with the road manufacturers, with the IRF, with the infrastructure companies, ensuring that the interaction between the tire and the road is safe, that there is a long-lasting performance of the tire when it wears and interacts with the road to ensure braking power of the vehicle is absolutely key, and also the integrity of the tire during its whole life. Michelin is not only manufacturing and selling tires, we are also one of the biggest fleet managers in the world, be it fleet management of cars, trucks, aircraft, mining equipment, etc. And when you manage a fleet, you need to ensure that the setting of the vehicles are okay for efficiency, safety, and also to be green. You also need to train the driver in order that they drive in a green way, in an efficient way, and in a safe way. So you already see that within the company, employees and product and services, you already need to have a systemic approach. Beyond that, we've got a global social and societal role in road safety beyond our product and services, but this we'll talk about in the second part of the panel. So thank you, Susanna.
Thank you, Nicolas. Yes, I'm holding these questions, business models and ecosystems, because that will help us build this picture. But I want to turn now to Magali, because she works for a company, Holcim, which doesn't really shy away when it comes to translating words into action. Magali has been health and safety manager. She has been there right on the front line, shaping processes within the company and beyond. So I want to turn to Magali to really ask her to, and I like her because she always has this very positive attitude. Even the most dramatic experience, she always says it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn and bounce forward and do stuff, which is exactly what is needed right now when it comes to road safety. Magali, I just want you to share with us a little bit the approach and the vision of Holcim when it comes to safety, please, and then we'll move forward into the conversation.
Sure, Susanna, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So usually with my title, working for a big cement company, I normally talk about CO2 and how to reduce CO2. But today I'm not going to talk about CO2. I'm not going to talk about all of this. I'm going to talk about road safety because I'm absolutely passionate by this topic. So when I joined the group 5 years ago, we had horrible numbers. And it's, you know, as the other panelists said, it's lives, it's people, it's families, it's everything, right? It's just something as a company we can't accept. It's not even a question of reputation. It's not even a question of business. It's a question of we just can't accept that our business is creating such traumas and such family disasters. I would not even look for any other reason. So we had a lot of fatalities because something that is not that much known about our business is that we drive almost 2 billion kilometers per year with our trucks, and mainly as distributing our cement or our concrete around the world. And if you have ever seen a concrete ready-mix truck, you would have seen it usually in very busy area, in streets, next to schools, usually where we built. It's rarely at the middle of nowhere. So it's something we had to address immediately. And when I went to my boss, and I still remember, I said, okay, it's very clear that all the fatalities, or 95% of them, are due to the driver, to how we drive. It's not due to the truck. Nicolas, it's not due to the tires. In our case, it was due to the driver. So I'm going to train the drivers. I'm going to monitor the driving, and we are going to go from there. And my boss said, but we've done that 15 years ago. What's new? I said, well, as everything in health and safety, the devil is in the details. So you don't just train the driver, you train the trainer who is going to train the driver. So we got a third party to train the trainer. I still remember them going to, I believe it was in Uganda, coming back, not having qualified a single trainer. So we really put a huge focus on the trainers. And knowing that we live in a lot of countries where unfortunately you can't rely on a piece of document that says the driver can drive. So estimating the skills of the driver was very important. And then the monitoring is really putting a black box into the trucks, which monitors harsh braking, harsh accelerating. A lot of people think of speed, but it's not necessarily what is worse. And then we ended up with a scorecard where you basically reward the best drivers and stop the worst drivers from driving. It's back to the basics, but it's the fact of doing it a very systematic way. We now have a transportation analytics center where we regroup all this data and we monitor about 1.3, 1.4 billion kilometers per year that we have done every single move of the drivers. And we have divided the number of fatalities by 7 in 5 years since we launched it. It's been very effective in terms of numbers. But the nice thing about it as well, in addition to, of course, stopping the number of deaths and also engaging with the people, what I forgot to mention is those kilometers at 95% of the time done by transporters. So it was not that easy. We had to convince transporters to go on that journey with us. It was not something we could impose to our own drivers. But then when we talk about scope 3 and people are telling me I'm scratching my head to get my data, I'm like, well, I am monitoring every kilometer I do. So in terms of analyzing my scope 3, so I come back a little bit about CO2. I told you I was not going to talk about CO2, but I will talk for a second about it. It allows me now to reduce the number of kilometers driven, to optimize the journeys, to go more in train, to go more in waterways, so to reduce the amount of times we use trucks, but also to monitor exactly how much CO2 I spend. So it's really, overall, it's been a fantastic program, not only to reduce the number of incidents, but also to reduce how many trucks we put on the road itself, which is actually, in fact, maybe means less tires for Michelin, but it's still the best way to reduce the risk on the road.
Thank you so much, Magali. So in this first part, we have been able to build perspective, I would say, so far from inside, right? From within the companies, which are great inspiration also to all those listening. We'll come back to that. I'm watching the time is going so fast. We'll come back to that in a few moments, because then I want to use the expertise of Salik and what he's seeing on his daily job to tackle a couple of other items, like building those skills and the capacity building so that we inspire others to do the same. But allow me to come back 1 second to Dan Chen, because I want to move this conversation out a little bit externally somehow. Dan, in a few moments ago, you said that when we create self-sustaining business models that revolve around safety, then there is practically no limit to what we can achieve and to our impact. So my question is, how do we do that? Because that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, it's a really great question. I think that all of us have been puzzling after that. But if we think about things that have changed our lives personally over the last 10 years, a lot of these things are driven by private sector or by innovations that are developed by private sector and making the ecosystem that enables these things to scale rapidly. So, all of us carry around a smartphone, right? 10 years ago, didn't exist, has changed our behavior, our ability to access information, has changed really, I think, a lot of our lives over the last few years. And that's simply by the innovation and ecosystem that went around it in terms of that development. We think about another example that would be external is renewable energy. So we've had renewable energy technologies available for many years. But if you look at the future growth of energy, over 90% of the new energy added will be renewable energy for us in the future. And that didn't used to happen. And that happened as a result of technology development, lower costs. So industry did its part, but also the regulatory and policy framework that was developed by governments, leading governments, especially in Europe, that really catalyzed this industry to happen. And it's a good for everybody. to see that happen. Again, 290 gigawatts of renewable energy going into the ground this year in 2022. So for us in road safety, the question is, how do we create that kind of a self-sustaining business model? How do we create scalability? And I think a lot of us are thinking about how that can work, whether it be, in the investment side of things, sustainable bonds or road safety bonds would be one mechanism. One thing we're trying on our side and come from a safety business is we're investing in improving safety in 100 schools throughout the globe by 2024. This will be a 3M funded effort in conjunction with different partners globally to really help address this issue for these 100 schools to improve road safety. Part of it is certainly to do things that are impactful for those communities, but part of it also is from the standpoint of creating value. If we can create a market and understand how this market can be created, through regulators, through governments and policy, to create that as a market, I think that'll be something that'll be a self-driving and self-scaling kind of opportunity. So something we're trying out on our side. We have some great partners with IRF, WRI, and the rest who are helping us with that piece of it. But I think more experimentation, and again, the partnership with other companies in this would be great to see as well. So thanks.
Thanks, Dan. And that's in fact why we're pulling this private sector road safety coalitions around the world to try and pull all those bits and pieces together to maximize reach and impact. Let me jump to Nicolas. I promised I would get back to you on this issue of ecosystems because it's very important. This has been one of the critical things not properly addressed or not properly handled in the previous decade, right? The fact that we have not been able to synergize enough, and each one of us has been working too much into silos. Nicolas, you spoke about ecosystems a few moments ago and the importance of partnerships as part of your own strategy. Can you tell me a little bit more on how you do that within Michelin and towards the outside?
Okay, so yes, Susanna, we talked about road safety from the perspective of the employees and from the perspective of the product and services. And we already saw that you need to interact. You cannot do it alone. You need to do it with outside partners. Now, a company, in terms of sustainable mobility, has got to go beyond its product and services to have impact. And then to have impact, it's got to work in complete ecosystem with other companies, with NGOs, and also with international institutions like United Nations. So to give you an example and focused on the safe mobility, to have impact, for instance, Michelin has decided to engage globally with the UN entities. We've got a collaboration with UNICEF, where we work on children in China, Philippines, and Asian countries. And each time we try to involve our employees. It's not only giving money to UNICEF, it's working with them, it's giving our expertise, it's evolving our employees. It's the same with UNRSF, where we've been supporting the United Nations Road Safety Fund, but we're also part of the steering committee to think about what projects are the best and how the money should be used. We are also supporting UNRNC, and we decided to focus on the region with a high rate of accidents and children, education, and advocacies. Then once you have the UN, you need to have the NGOs also. And the NGOs, for instance, we are supporting yours, that is a youth NGO, and more than 400 young people mobilized for road safety advocacy, which is extremely important. And in South America, we are supporting the Global Alliance of NGOs for Road Safety. We also have a collaboration with GRSP and with Total for VIA, where we've been able to engage more than 300,000 students. So the idea each time is, how do you have the impact? How do you cover the world? And who are the base stakeholders, be it public, private, institutions, NGOs, to be able to work together and have the necessary impact in the different areas. And we also have a collaboration with Luxottica in Thailand, the US, and Argentina. And last but not least, for many years, we've been working with the FIA in Argentina, Cambodia, and many other countries, also involving directly our employees, which is also a way of engaging the employees in the global initiative.
Thank you, Nicolas. So I'm recapping here. We have been looking at safety within the company, managing the fleet, the employees, then supply chain. We've been talking about business models. We have been talking then how we do create this link from the inside in expertise of the company, and how we use that presence that many of the big companies like the ones that you represent have in the communities, to take that expertise from within the company through the supply chain, but within the community. I want to revert back to Magali, because she has also a fantastic example of the great success and the impact you can have when you take all these ingredients, you mix them up properly, and you're able actually to deliver on not just on safety, but solve other problems and contribute even more to SDGs. Magali, for those of you who don't know, is the one behind the Women on Wheels initiative. It's a program that is based on partnerships, and that really spurred from a great intuition you had. Magali, please take a few moments to tell us about this, because I think the program is also at the stage where, you know, we need to foster more partnership and open it up to scale it up even more. Magali.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really a program I absolutely love. And we launched it 4 years ago. And we launched it with the realization that there was already 4 years ago starting to have a shortage of drivers. And as we were implementing our road safety program and training our drivers, we were losing them to go to either other companies or international type of travel, et cetera, et cetera. And we are already looking, and I started asking myself, I don't understand. We are not addressing 50% of the world talent pool, and we have a shortage of driver. Why? And when you look at why, I could not find a single reason why. Today, you don't need to be Superman to drive a truck. Modern trucks, everybody can drive them. In terms of safety, women are usually safer driver, less aggressive, which goes back to the road safety program, which maybe I should have mentioned when I was talking about the advantage of CO2. It's also the advantage of less fuel consumption, less maintenance, less incident, et cetera, et cetera. And what we found out is when we put a woman behind the wheel, all those indicators improve immediately, just from the driving. And a lot of women, a lot of our driving, at least ours in our business, is a daily drive. So you go back home at night. It's not one which could be sometimes a showstopper in some countries. And it was like, so that I can't see a single reason why women don't drive. I can only see positives. But yet, for example, in France, it's only 3% female truck drivers. And then you go down to, it's purely cultural. It's got nothing else to do than cultural mindset, et cetera, et cetera. So we worked on that, and we created some female drivers academy. So we had one in Nigeria that graduated 54 drivers last year. We had another one in Kenya. We now are starting the third session, because it requires a fair bit of work, which is first to go and find a woman and explain to them that they can drive, and they should drive because they are super good drivers. And then, of course, work with the academies, the driving academies, to get them involved in it. And it's been quite successful. We have now 300 female truck drivers. Compared to our total number, it's ridiculous, but I have big hope to get it to 1,000 this year. And we're more than happy to share that with anyone who wants to be part of it, because I think if we all get in it, we could get way more, and we solve so many problems at the same time.
Thank you, Magali. So we bring in also the gender dimension into this, because at the end of the day, it's what we were saying at the beginning. Safety is part of a bigger vision that revolves around sustainability overall. Salika, I apologize, I've been holding you there, but because I want now to use your expertise to tackle and add another piece to this conversation, which links to what Magali has just said, because we're talking about skills of people. You are a defensive driver, a trainer, auditor, a certified first aider and firefighter, as I learned from your bio. how important it is to build capacity within and outside the company to ensure those high levels of safety, because we can do all the right things within our companies, but out there are other people driving.
Absolutely, thank you, Azad. So if you want to do something well, you need to invest in learning. You can't be safe if you don't know how. That's the basic. And usually it's considered that safety is somehow a specialist job, or speciality is required to be safe. And that's kind of the mindset that we face here in Pakistan. Unfortunately, so when we go out and to hire the drivers, the common challenge that I faced was that if we have 5 provinces in Pakistan, everybody had their own driving curriculum and had their own driving license issuing systems. So when a driver comes to me, I did not know if the license was fake or what sort of training did he get or not. So that was the point where Unilever decided that we need to invest in this capacity building, and we need to not just for within Unilever, but also for the people, for the larger community. So that we also had the turnover issues that we used to train people, and then they either used to go out or abroad. So we did have this problem. So our fundamental concept is to invest into people, to train them, and therefore we are also in talks with different like-minded organizations like yourself and some local authorities as well, to have a national curriculum, to have those basics topic covered in those curriculums, and also have a national license, so that at least an individual coming into the market must undergo some certain basic courses, some basic understanding towards the safety. So Travalu, again, in Pakistan, was you might know how to drive, but you might not know how to drive safely. And hence we do have a lot of motoring school, but we're also upscaling their capacity and their capabilities, so that when they're teaching the students and the kids and the newcomers, they should be in a nutshell. And also, I'm part of the Pakistan Standard Quality Authority, which is making the standards of different segments. So road safety is one of the technical committee I'm part of, and I'm trying at the government level as well to standardize and to invest in the capacity building. The only problem is that this is not an individual's job. We can do to a certain level, but then we need people, and we need group of people, and we individual to come on board and to embrace safety, and then to be part of the greater cause, which is to save human life.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Salik. And in that, I want to add, we are working with Salik, Unilever, and other companies in Pakistan, in collaboration with the National Highway and Motorways Police Force, who handles the driving school in Pakistan, to in fact ameliorate the curriculum of drivers, to extend the facilities, and hopefully, if we manage, with the help of everyone, to create even a new facility in another part of the country. So an appeal to everyone who wants to join the coalition to help support those efforts. Salik, I'm looking at the clock. We have 5 minutes left, and I still want to have one final round with the others. But a quick question, one piece of this whole conversation we didn't touch upon, or only marginally, is the role of technology. I know that you have been that pioneer within the company, digitalizing the road safety management within the company. What is the role? How did you succeed in that? Because often when you try to introduce this new innovation, there's a lot of resistance, because sometimes the task is huge. How did you succeed? And what's really the role of technology in that?
Even after 7 years of introducing technology, we still do feel resistance, because we do commonly get that the system is not right. But so again, coming from the country where wearing a seatbelt is still something that is not habitual for people, and people, are still reluctant to use seatbelts. So this is, but in Unilever, we either do it the right way or don't do it at all. So introducing the technology was the only option at that time. And in order to get the maximum benefit and help people to understand the importance, so we introduced the black box system, which was already discussed, that we have harsh braking, harsh acceleration, speeds, and also the seat belts. But also taking it a notch up, we introduced an AI-based solution, which is known as Advanced Driver Management System. What it does is, it's basically a fatigue management system which captures the driver behavior. If it's yawning, smoking, or talking on the phone, or distracted, it just takes picture and then place that in the one of the profiling and user profiling, and then we are able to understand what the driver behaviors are and how he's reacting on the road. So technology is helping us a lot in curtailing the behaviors and also improving and kind of predicting of how the accidents can happen and where we need the intervention. So yeah, so technology is again, great way to analyze all of that.
Thank you so much. But maybe also going back to the importance of tailoring the messages also to the communities, right? I see the clock is just gone. It's 28 already here. And I just want to give one final round to everyone. The delegations, the country delegations will be entering that room at the UN headquarters in New York in, I think, half an hour or 45 minutes. And I want to ask you, if you were given the chance to give one key message of recommendation, what would that be? What would you say to those delegations entering that room today? Dan, I'll maybe start with you.
Yeah, I'll be actually heading over there in a little bit, and I can certainly listen to what people have to say on the panel and give that advice as well. I think what we hear from the panelists will be, from the delegations, is certainly an affirmation of the goals and so forth. I think the key for us is the implementation. And I think that's people that are on this call, people that are on the panel, the companies that are represented here. It's the actionability of doing things and creating the right ecosystems and incentives. That's going to be key for us. The high level, that disconnect between the high level policy statements and what happens on the ground is going to be important for us. So I'll try to emphasize that when I have the chance. But thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Magali, you want to go next?
Well, outside organizing lady driver schools, I think we all share the same transporters. So if we are all aligned on the rules of road safety, we talked about artificial intelligence and all this type of technology that helps, but also the driver training, maybe having a more standardized driver training across geographies, etc. I think we could go a very long way.
Thank you, Magali. Nicolas.
So what I would say to the government delegation is, we have Race to Zero for CO2. We have Vision Zero for road safety. Both are at the same level of importance, and it's not either or, it's and. This would be my final word.
Thank you, Nicolas. And Salik, last but not least.
Right. So I would just say that everybody should play their part in ensuring the road safety. So it's not just individuals' responsibility, and we need to prioritize of how we're going to make a sustainable living for all the individuals. And also, I would request the forum and the panelists to share their best practices and learnings, because that's how we as in companies can also benefit and help the governments to make a stronger system across the globe and make live better.
Thank you so much, Salik, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with the private sector coalitions, bringing those expertise together, working not just business to business, but together with the authorities hand in hand. It's not blaming them, but just working hand in hand with them, because sometimes in countries like Pakistan, for example, I know because I'm personally involved, the task is huge, and so it needs really the hands of everyone and the effort of everyone. We come to the end of the meeting. I just want to make one quick comment I do have colleagues from UNRSC that before getting into this panel asked me specifically to address commercial determinants of health. And I want to respond to that by saying specifically that, well, we've seen today the positive examples from some leading companies. Yes, indeed, there are some issues that needs to be addressed, but the way we're doing it from the perspective, for example, of IRF and the coalitions, we try to bring everybody on board and try to align them around what we call a road safety charter, private sector charter, just to outline exactly those principles we stand behind. And it's almost like our code of conduct that sets the framework for our collaboration, but sets some framework for avoiding using those activities for marketing purposes. So I just want to respond to that point in this way. We come to an end of the meeting. I just want to say a big thank you to all our speakers. I know I've literally taken you out your busy agendas, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for you making the time on short notice for this. To all those watching us, know that we have been recording the session, so the recordings will be available together with the presentation on the IRF website. And to those who are interested in joining the efforts in the coalitions in different parts of the world, feel free to reach out to the IRF. Put even your contacts in the chat if you want, and we'll get back to you. With this, thank you so much. Those of you who are in New York, enjoy the meetings, and talk to you soon. Thank you.